Morning, BrewTube. It's me again, AZ Homebrewer. You can see behind me, I got something from my local homebrew club. So I got this thing up above my ferment chamber because I keep missing dates as for when to bottle, when to keg, secondary, etc., etc. So I got this bad boy, so that should keep me from worrying about any of that. So today is another beer brewing day. Today I'm making a strawberry blonde ale with some strawberries. That's going to be put in the secondary with it. And for today, it's going to be a total of 10 pounds of malts and whatnot. It's going to be 7 pounds of Pilsner German 2-row, a pound of Carapils, a pound of German wheat malt, and a pound of flake corn. That's about it for the malts. And then it's going to be a total of 2 ounces altogether of hops, 1 ounce Cascade and 1 ounce of Saaz, or SAAZ. The Cascade is going to be in for 60 minutes, and then the Saaz is going to, first half edition is going to be in at 20 minutes, and the other one's going to be at 15. So stay tuned. Okay, so you can see the water's almost up to 168 degrees. In fact, it's just about there. And I got this going into my 5-gallon mash tun. Over here, I got my water salts, and I got my pH 2 5.2 stabilizer. And then over here, got my 60-minute edition, which is going to be Cascade, which I haven't put in yet. I got 20-minute Saaz, 10-minute Irish moss and yeast energizer, and then 15-minute the other half of that 1 ounce of Saaz, and that's gonna be it. So next time we see this, we're probably gonna be doughing it in. Okay, so I just finished doughing in, and temperature's right there about 154. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. 154, so I'm hit right on target. And doughing it in is just what it means. You just mix in all the grains. Make sure you don't have any dough balls. Make sure you add your beer salts and any kind of stabilizer, any kind of watering agent. Yeah, that's when you want to put all this stuff in, except for the Irish moss. That goes in it near the end of the boil. This is going to be a 90-minute boil, by the way, instead of my traditional 60. I'm going to be trying something else new with this. You always want to learn something from every brew that you do. While we're waiting for the mash to do its thing, I figured I'd come in and show you my yeast starter while it's on its stir plate. It's a White Labs 051 California 5 strain, I believe. So it's more of a neutral yeast because I'm going to be adding strawberries to the secondary on this, so I don't want any kind of weird conflicting flavors coming off. So this is about 18 milliliters or 1.8 liters worth of yeast starter. I did this thing yesterday. I don't know if it'll show, but on the bottom side, no, it won't show nothing. I actually have a hole in my DIY stir plate, and it's a blue fan, so it's kind of cool seeing this whole yeast starter being blue, but it's too bright outside. So this has been sitting for at least 12 hours. This thing will probably go for another 3 or 4 until I'm ready for it. So here's the fly sparge. You can see I got it with my rotating arm coming down, making yummy, delicious wort. I keep in a decent temperature at 156. So coming out about 168. Grain bed. And one reason I've been told about this rotating is throughout the whole mash tun, it'll continue to rotate to extract as much sugars as possible. So I haven't thought too much of it. I just think it looks kind of cool spinning it around. So that'd be it. Okay, my sparge water's all gone through. We're almost empty, and I'm almost ready to hit that 8-gallon mark. Because I'm doing a 90-minute boil, and I need to get actually just above the 8-gallon mark. We're almost there. Next time's the boil. So as you can see, we're getting really close to this hot break. All the protein and everything is starting to collect on top. Gotten some more steam, so we'll probably be here at the hot break here within about 5 minutes. This is where you got to control your heat. This is a turkey fryer one, so I can actually control it versus here. It could be just an extra step for me personally, but it works. And so when I get to that rolling boil, we'll continue. So as you can see, this is the hot break. This is where all the proteins are at the top. And now what we're trying to do is get those things developed back in. And some people scoop them off. I leave everything in. I got a filter at the bottom so I don't worry about that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to increase the temperature or flame just a little bit and just control this thing back and forth until all that white stuff goes back down into the beer and I get a normal rolling boil. That's about it. So here's my primary brewing program, Beersmith. It is awesome. I highly recommend it anytime. This thing, once I've dialed in my system, its hit numbers are done better the entire time. From the grain bill, gives you your weight, grain absorption, all that other kind of stuff. The mash tun that I'm using, volume, all that fun stuff. Mash pH, runoff, sparge runoff pH, gravity reading. That's all pretty self-explanatory. What I use is I use a pH, instant pH meter. I don't use the test strips. This thing does have those little salt packs, so you can actually calibrate this thing. And it's pretty easy. You just basically turn it on, stick it in, and let it sit for maybe about a minute, so the numbers will go down, and that's about what your pH is. Make sure you clean it and everything else, and it should last you a long time. But as you can see, based off all the numbers that I inputted, I wound up getting a end of gravity reading of 1010, which is actually right on the money what the Beersmith program had. And then over here, my pre-boil gravity had 1038. I actually beat that with 1042. So my estimated mass efficiency was going to be 82.3. Actually came into 91.4. So this thing will probably actually be a little bit higher alcohol content than what I was shooting for. But you know what? It's all good, because it's all going to taste good and everything else. I think if I come back here to my design program, it should give me an estimate, if I could find it. My final gravity, measure efficiency, maybe it's over in fermentation. So it's saying right now my estimated alcohol content's 4.4. Based on what I put in so far, this is prior to any fermentation. It's saying I should actually have about 5.5. And then you have the alcohol by weights. So I highly recommend getting this Beersmith program. This thing is awesome. Tip my numbers are better every single time. Alright, I'm about an hour into my boil. And as you can see, I'm right around, hopefully you can see that, about the 7-gallon mark. I started at the 8-gallon, a little over 8 gallons, and I'm at the 7-gallon mark. So that means I know I have my propane burner set around the right time, because I projected to lose about a half a gallon per half hour. So that all seems about right. So here shortly I'm going to be adding my first edition of Saaz at the 20-minute mark, half ounce. Another half ounce at 15 minutes. And then my yeast nutrient and the Irish moss at my 10-minute mark. So the boil's almost done. Alright, timer went off. Now it's time for the 20-minute Saaz hop addition. Be careful sometimes when you're adding hops. Sometimes, as you can see, as soon as I added that, the boil kind of came back up. If you're running a short pot, you might want to watch out for something like that, because as soon as that the wort starts boiling up, you could get a boil over. So just one of those things to keep an eye out for. Alright, here's the end of my boil. I'm right around 6.5 gallons, right where I want to be, given my dead space and everything. That noise you hear is my recirculation wort chiller. So I got a 1/4 horsepower pump in here. Goes down into my old wort immersion chiller that I don't use anymore except for an ice bath. And that goes out into a plate chiller and starts chilling this sucker down, while this goes to the boil keg. So now it's just a matter of adjusting the valves until this comes out at the right temperature, the way I want it, coming into the ferment bucket. Now you're gonna have to excuse me. This is interesting to try to do this thing with 2 hands. So there's the wort coming out. You can clearly see that my sanitized thermometer is touching it. Right now this is saying it's about 87 degrees, so I need to turn this thing down just a little bit up here. Just little minor adjustments, as well as I shake up my little ice bath right here, and then you can start feeling the cold water start coming up. So I have to circulate this thing a little bit. I can feel the water coming out nice and cold. So if I go back in here and touch the thermometer, 78, 81. So it's just one of those things I just need to constantly probably shake the older wort immersion chiller so I could get a proper reading. So what a plate chiller does is, inside one side, cold water goes in, hot water comes out, but the transfer of the copper plates inside. Near boiling wort comes in, and then right here, cool to the touch, is about 76 degrees. So that's what a plate chiller does. I just do one extra step and create an ice bath with my old wort immersion chiller as an additional transfer. So I'm transferring it twice. I'm transferring warm water to cold water here, and then cold water back to warm water in this plate chiller. So, and then my goal is to get about 5.5 gallons. I am roughly just under 3 left to go, and so this is a good step. But I might left that. Pay no attention to it. So that's it. When your wort has been cooled, this is when it's the most dangerous to be susceptible to infections. So with everything sanitized, including my thermometer right here, you got to take great care of making sure everything is sanitized and clean, that anything is going to be touching your wort, aka beer, while it's cool. It's very important. Unless you're going for the sour, don't do it. So I'm doing one last temperature reading. It's all sanitized. Everything in here is sanitized. I'm going to take a general reading on this. And my thermometer is long enough so I could do this through the bubbler hole. And right now it's saying my temperature is 78.3, which is really good. Anything under 80 for the most part, you can pitch most yeast. This is still just, went down to 77.9. So it's still going down a little bit. Probably taking a reading from the whole thing. So one of the last things that I do is I oxygenate the wort. When you boil it, all the O2 leaves the wort. And if you don't re-add any kind of O2 to your wort, it's going to strain your yeast, cause off flavors, and everything else. So I use the pure O2 in this. I don't want to shake it because if my hands are wet and I shake it, it drops and spills. I'm literally crying over spilled beer. So take your time with it, and I'll show you how I oxygenate my wort. Okay, so this is my O2 oxygenation in it. It's pretty easy. This is little O2 cans that you can get from Home Depot, from the little welding area. That right there is a 5-micron filter, stainless steel, and basically it's as simple as basically sticking in the bar, opening it up, and if you hear that, it's just O2 going back into the wort. You want to do it for about 90 seconds for a 5-gallon batch, roughly. The beer will let you know when it has enough, because this thing will bubble up extremely when it's done. So that's it with that. So essentially all that's left is basically, I got my giant yeast stirrer right here. Uncover it. Make sure you got your stir bar out or plugged. And it's just a matter of pouring it in. Nothing special, nothing fancy. And then it's just a cap off of making a beer. So now this is going to go in my ferment chamber for about 10 days to 2 weeks. I don't remember how long it's supposed to be. And hopefully, if I remember, I'll make a second video to this. So this is AZ Homebrewer. Cheers and happy homebrewing.